Hello everybody. My name is Risha Indira Sabrina as the head of researcher and representative from Universitas Indonesia. Today we're going to talk about our study regarding online psychological first aid or PFA educational video as a solution to combat mental health impact from COVID-19 pandemic, a study from Indonesia. But before we start, let's get to know our team. Starting from myself, my name is Risha Indira Sabrina, and we also have Ratih Windira Pangestuti and Syafira Ramadhani Fitria Anissa. So without further ado, Syafira Ramadhani Fitria Anissa, the floor is yours.
So, why we conducted this study? As we all know, the COVID-19 virus spread all around the world in early 2020. On March, World Health Organization declared that the spread of the COVID-19 virus is a global pandemic. It has an impact on all aspects of life, including mental health aspect. On the screen, we can see that various studies have found that there are significant changes in mental health level during this pandemic in many countries around the world, like in America, the UK, the Netherlands, and many more. Not only that, these changes are also significant in men, women, and various age ranges. In Indonesia itself, the Association of Indonesian Scholars and Public Health Professionals, or PERSACMI, has stated that during the COVID-19 pandemics, there are 56% of people in Indonesia that have increased anxiety due to various causes, such as economy, job, religion, education, and social interaction. To overcome this problem, society needs psychological intervention such as mental health education. Here we present online psychological first aid educational video to answer psychological problem not only in Indonesia but also in various countries around the world. Now, what is the purpose of our study? The purpose of our study is to determine the effectiveness of the impact of the online psychological first aid educational video on the level of psychological well-being. And we hypothesize that psychological first aid educational video as a proposed solution positively affect the level of psychological well-being on Indonesian people.
But how did we conduct our study? These are the experimental methods.
This study is conducted using within subject experimental research design and is made in Google Form, which then distributed through various social media platforms such as WhatsApp, Line, Instagram, and Facebook. Who is the participants of this study? The population that researchers are aiming to measure in this study is Indonesian people aged 17 and above, specifically young adults, which are selected with an accidental sampling. In addition, the sample size in this study was 38 participants, which consisting of 27 women and 11 men. So then, how did we measure the psychological well-being level of the participants? For the measurement, we used the psychological well-being scale, which developed by Carol Reeve. This scale has a reliability coefficient of 0.865, considerably high according to Cronbach-Alpha technique, and this scale consists of 13 items. The psychological well-being level variable is processed using one-way ANOVA, which is calculated using SPSS 23.0 version. And for the demographic data such as age, gender, domicile, and job are processed using descriptive research strategy. For last but not least, how is the experimental procedure of this study? First, participants were asked to answer the first part of the psychological well-being scale questionnaire. This first part is aimed to assess the level of the psychological well-being of the participants before manipulation was given. Second, the manipulation in the form of a psychological first aid educational video was then presented. The online psychological first aid educational video that was used in this study is entitled Micro-Learning Psychological First Aid PFA 2020, which has a duration of 5 minutes from Tanmuji Daud channel on YouTube. This video represents the intervention that researchers are proposing, such as what is psychological first aid, what's the benefit of psychological first aid, and so on. Last, the second part of the questionnaire will start once the participants are done watching the video. The participants were then given the psychological well-being scale questionnaire once again. This time, the order was randomized to prevent repetition bias. After the participants are done answering all of the items, the research is completed and the data can be analyzed.
So, what is the result of our study? According to our descriptive statistics, women are dominating with 28 out of 38 participants, or prevalent to 73.7%. As for the age range, people from 19 to 22 are also dominating with the same amount, or equivalent to 28 participants. As for the domicile, people from Yogyakarta are dominating with the amount of 9 people or 9 participants, or equal to 28.7%. As for the analytical descriptive statistics, before the manipulation was given or before the psychological first aid educational video was presented, the mean is about 33.66 out of 52. While after the manipulation was given, there's a slight change and it became 37.82. And to prove that psychological first aid educational video can improve the psychological well-being of the participants, we conducted a within subject test. And based on the table below, you can see that it turned out to be very significant, meaning that there's an effect on the psychological well-being of the participants if given the psychological first aid educational video. All in all, from the result, we can conclude that psychological first aid educational video can be one of the solutions that can be implemented as a psychological intervention to facing challenges of COVID-19 pandemic. And to end this presentation, I would like to share one of the very inspiring quotes of Mahatma Gandhi, which is "Be the change you wish to see in the world." We do hope that by proposing our solution, which is the psychological first aid educational video, we do hope that we can make a change and an impact in facing the challenges of COVID-19 pandemic. Thank you for listening. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.